I was standing in the pre-op waiting room at Children's Hospital, holding my 6-month-old daughter Maya against my chest, feeling her tiny heartbeat flutter like a trapped bird, when I checked my phone and saw the group chat message from my sister-in-law. "Sorry, can't make it today. Brittany's bridal shower is at noon and we're all going. You understand, right?" 7 people. My mother-in-law, my 2 sisters-in-law, my husband's brother and his wife, even my own mother. All choosing champagne and gift baskets over being there when my baby went into heart surgery. My name is Rachel, and before that Tuesday in September, I thought I understood what family meant. I grew up in a close-knit household in suburban Minnesota. Mom, Dad, my younger sister Emily, and Sunday dinners that always ran 2 hours long because nobody wanted to leave the table. We weren't wealthy, but we were there for each other. When Dad lost his job during the recession, we all pitched in. When Emily broke her leg junior year, we took turns driving her to physical therapy for 3 months. That's the version of family I brought with me when I married Daniel 6 years ago. He came from a different kind of family, louder, flashier, the kind where everything was a production. His mother, Patricia, threw parties for every occasion and some that weren't occasions at all. His older brother Marcus and younger sister Vanessa competed for attention like it was an Olympic sport, and his other sister Brittany was the baby of the family, which meant she got whatever she wanted whenever she wanted it. Daniel was different from them, or at least I thought he was. He was quieter, more thoughtful. He worked as an accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown, brought me coffee in bed on Sundays, remembered my mother's birthday without being reminded. When we got married, his family was pleasant enough, slightly overwhelming, sure, but I figured that was just their style. I figured I'd adjust. Then Maya was born. 6 pounds, 3 ounces, with dark hair that stuck straight up and eyes that seemed to see right through you. She was perfect. For exactly 4 days, she was perfect. Then the pediatrician heard a murmur during her checkup and sent us to a specialist. And by the time she was 2 weeks old, we knew she had a congenital heart defect, a ventricular septal defect, the cardiologist called it, a hole in the wall between the lower chambers of her heart. The doctor explained it carefully, patiently. Some defects close on their own as babies grow, some need to be monitored, and some, like Maya's, need surgery. "Not immediately," he said, "but within the first year, we'll watch her closely, and when the time is right, we'll repair it. She'll be fine. Kids are resilient." I clung to those words, "she'll be fine," like they were a lifeline. But the waiting was torture. Every feeding, I watched for signs of fatigue. Every breath, I listened for changes. Every doctor's appointment, I held my breath until they told me she was stable, that we could wait a little longer. Daniel's family didn't quite know how to handle it. Patricia sent flowers when Maya was born, the expensive kind from the fancy florist, but she didn't visit for the first 2 weeks. When she finally came, she held Maya for maybe 10 minutes before handing her back and talking about the catering plans for Brittany's engagement party. Brittany had gotten engaged 3 weeks after Maya was born, and somehow that became the family's main focus. Over the next 6 months, there were dress fittings and venue tours and cake tastings and a bachelorette party weekend in Napa. I was invited to all of it, of course, but I couldn't go. Maya needed me. Her appointments were frequent, every 3 weeks at first, then every 2. The cardiologist wanted to monitor her closely, and I wasn't about to leave my infant daughter with a heart condition to taste wedding cake samples. Patricia didn't understand. "Rachel, you worry too much. Babies are tougher than you think. You should come to the dress fitting. It'll be fun. You need to get out." Fun. She thought I needed fun while my daughter's heart had a hole in it. My own mother was different. She came over twice a week, brought meals, held Maya while I showered or napped or just sat and cried. She didn't minimize it. She didn't tell me to relax. She just showed up, which is sometimes the only thing that matters. In August, when Maya was 5.5 months old, the cardiologist called us in. Her oxygen levels were dropping slightly. She was breathing faster during feedings. "It's time," he said. "We need to schedule the surgery. The defect isn't closing on its own, and waiting longer puts unnecessary strain on her heart. We'll do it in September. It's a routine procedure. Well, as routine as heart surgery can be. She'll be in good hands." Routine. I hated that word. There was nothing routine about handing your baby over to surgeons, about kissing her forehead and watching her disappear through double doors, about sitting in a waiting room while someone cuts into her chest. But we scheduled it, September 19th, 8:30 in the morning. I told everyone immediately. I sent a group text to Daniel's family and mine. "Maya's surgery is scheduled for September 19th at 8:30 a.m. at Children's Hospital. We'd really appreciate your support that day." My mother responded within 2 minutes. "I'll be there. What do you need?" Emily said she'd take the day off work. Daniel's brother Marcus said, "Sending good vibes." Patricia didn't respond for 6 hours. When she finally did, it was, "Oh, honey, that's the same week as Brittany's bridal shower. Let me check the date." She needed to check the date, as if a bridal shower was the kind of thing you had to consult your calendar for before committing to your granddaughter's heart surgery. The next day, Brittany posted in the family group chat, "Reminder, bridal shower is September 19th at noon. Can't wait to see everyone. Dress code, garden party chic." Same day. The exact same day as Maya's surgery. I waited for someone to say something, to point out the conflict, to suggest changing the shower date. Nobody did. The chat just filled up with excited messages about what people would wear, what gifts they were bringing, how beautiful the venue was. I typed out a message. "Just a reminder, Maya's surgery is that morning. We'd really love to have family there." I deleted it 3 times before sending it. I didn't want to sound demanding. I didn't want to be the difficult daughter-in-law who made everything about her. But this was my baby's heart surgery. If I couldn't ask for support then, when could I? Patricia responded first. "Oh, Rachel, the surgery's in the morning and the shower's not until noon. There's plenty of time. Besides, the doctors do all the work. You'll just be sitting around waiting. You should come to the shower after. It'll take your mind off things." Take my mind off things. My baby would be in surgery, and she thought I should leave the hospital to attend a party. The night before the surgery, Daniel and I barely slept. Maya was fussy. We couldn't feed her after midnight because of the anesthesia, and she didn't understand why her bottle wasn't coming. I held her and rocked her and sang every lullaby I knew, watching the clock tick toward morning, toward the moment I'd have to hand her over. We arrived at Children's Hospital at 7 a.m. The pediatric surgery wing had murals on the walls, cartoon animals and rainbows that were supposed to be cheerful but just felt surreal. We checked in, filled out forms, met with the anesthesiologist, the surgical nurse, the cardiologist. Everyone was kind, professional, and I kept thinking, where is everyone? Where's my family? I texted the group chat at 7:45. "We're here. Waiting area is on the 3rd floor if anyone wants to come up before they take her back." My mom responded immediately. "Parking now, be right there. Emily, 5 minutes away." 8 o'clock came. 8:15. The nurse said they'd come for Maya at 8:30. My mom arrived, hugged me tight, held Maya, and whispered to her. Emily came running in, breathless, with coffee for everyone. Daniel's family hadn't responded to the text. I called Patricia. It went to voicemail. I called Vanessa. Voicemail. I called Marcus, and he answered on the 5th ring. "Hey, Rachel, what's up?" Controlled, trying not to sound desperate. "Marcus, it's Rachel. Maya's surgery is in 15 minutes. Are you coming?" "Oh man, yeah, about that. Brittany moved the shower prep to this morning. We're all at Mom's helping set up. But we're thinking of you. Tell Maya we love her." I stood there in the hospital hallway with my phone pressed to my ear, trying to process what he'd just said. "You're setting up for a bridal shower? Right now? While Maya's going into surgery?" "Rachel, come on. The shower's a big deal too. Mom needs help. The surgery's routine, right? The doctors said she'll be fine. We'll check in later." He hung up. I looked at Daniel, and I watched his face change as he realized what was happening. His entire family, his mother, his siblings, their spouses, they weren't coming. They'd known about this for a month. They'd seen the reminders. They'd watched me stress and prepare and barely sleep. And they'd chosen table arrangements and party favors over being there when Maya needed them. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, we're ready for Maya now. I kissed my daughter's forehead, breathed in her baby smell, and handed her to the surgical nurse. I love you, sweet girl. I'll be right here waiting. She looked at me with those huge dark eyes, not understanding why I was giving her to a stranger. And then she was gone, through the double doors, into a room where they'd cut open her chest and repair her tiny broken heart. Daniel and I walked to the waiting room in silence. My mom and Emily sat with us. 4 people, out of a family of 12 adults who'd been invited, who'd known for a month, who'd promised to be there. 4 people showed up, and 3 of them were my family. The only person from Daniel's side who was there was Daniel himself, and I could see in his face that something had broken. Not just my trust in his family, but his trust in them too. The surgery was supposed to take 3 to 4 hours. We sat in that waiting room with its uncomfortable chairs and its television playing morning talk shows nobody watched, and we waited. My mom held my hand. Emily brought us food from the cafeteria that we didn't eat. Daniel stared at his phone, not texting anyone, just staring. At 9:30, Patricia posted in the family group chat, "Having such a beautiful morning setting up for Brittany's special day. Look at these centerpieces." There was a photo, a table decorated with pink and gold flowers, champagne glasses, ribbons. I stared at that photo for a long time. My baby was in surgery, and they were posting party decorations. I didn't respond. I couldn't trust myself to type anything that wouldn't be pure rage. "Are you seeing this?" Emily said, showing me her phone. She'd screenshotted the post. "Rachel, this is insane. How can they—" "Don't," I said. "Not now. I can't think about them right now." But I was thinking about them. I was thinking about every family dinner where I'd smiled and nodded, every wedding planning session where I'd pretended to care about napkin colors, every time I'd rearranged my schedule or Maya's doctor appointments to accommodate their events. I'd been so careful to be the good daughter-in-law, the one who didn't make waves, who fit herself into their loud, demanding family dynamic without complaint. And when I'd needed them, really needed them in the most fundamental way, they'd chosen a party. 10 o'clock came and went. 10:30, 11. Every time a doctor walked into the waiting room, my heart stopped. But none of them were for us. Other families came and went, received updates, went home with good news or bad news, and we just sat there, waiting. At 11:15, my phone started buzzing with messages. Vanessa, "Thinking of Maya today. Hope everything's going well." Marcus's wife sent a prayer hands emoji. Patricia sent a message to just me, not the group chat. "Hi, honey, how's our little Maya? Let us know when she's out. We're at the shower, but we'll call later." I didn't respond. "I'm going to call my mother," Daniel said, standing up suddenly. "Daniel, wait," I started, but he was already walking toward the hallway, phone to his ear. I could see him through the window. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I could read his body language, the way his shoulders tightened, the way he ran his hand through his hair, the way he started gesturing, sharp, angry movements I'd never seen from him before. The call lasted maybe 3 minutes. When he came back, his face was pale. "She said it's not that big of a deal. She said we're overreacting," he said, and his voice was hollow, like he couldn't quite believe the words coming out of his own mouth. "She said the shower's been planned for months, and they couldn't just cancel it because Maya had surgery. She said we were being selfish for expecting everyone to drop everything." Selfish. My 6-month-old daughter was having open-heart surgery, and we were being selfish for wanting family support. That's when something changed in me. Not loudly, not dramatically, but I felt it. A door closing somewhere deep inside. A decision being made without me consciously choosing it. These people weren't my family. They never had been. They were Daniel's family, and they'd tolerated me as an accessory to him. but they'd never actually cared about me or Maya. We were supporting characters in the ongoing drama of their lives, and when we'd needed to be the main story for just one day, they couldn't be bothered. Mr. and Mrs. Chen? We all stood at once. The surgeon was standing in the doorway, still in his scrubs, and I couldn't read his expression. My whole body went cold. "Maya did great," he said, and I felt my knees go weak with relief. "The repair went exactly as planned. She's in recovery now, and she's stable. You'll be able to see her in about 30 minutes. I started crying, really crying, the kind where you can't breathe properly and your whole body shakes. My mom hugged me. Emily hugged Daniel. The surgeon smiled, understanding, and said a few more technical things about the procedure, about what to expect in the next few days, about how kids her age usually recover quickly. "Thank you," I kept saying. "Thank you so much." When he left, the four of us just stood there for a moment, holding each other, and I realized this was what family was supposed to feel like. Not loud, not flashy, just present, just there when it mattered. My phone buzzed. Patricia had texted the group chat. "Shower is in full swing. Brittany is glowing. Wish you all could be here." There was a photo of Brittany surrounded by gift bags, laughing, champagne in hand. I looked at that photo for a long time. Then I did something I'd never done before. I screenshotted it. I wasn't sure why yet, wasn't sure what I'd do with it, but some instinct told me to save it, to document this moment, this choice they'd made. "You can see Maya now," a nurse said from the doorway. We followed her down a hallway, through more doors, into a recovery room where Maya lay in a hospital crib, tiny and pale with tubes and wires and bandages. But she was breathing. Her chest was rising and falling. Her heart monitor beeped steadily. She was alive. I touched her hand, careful of the IV, and she stirred slightly, making that little sound babies make when they're dreaming. "Hi, sweet girl," I whispered. "You did so good. So good." We stayed with her for the next 6 hours as she slowly woke up, as the anesthesia wore off, as she started crying and we held her and soothed her. My phone buzzed occasionally with messages from Daniel's family, casual check-ins, thinking of you messages, sent between photos of the shower, of Brittany opening gifts, of champagne toasts and laughter. They were having the time of their lives. And I was done pretending I didn't see exactly who they were. 3 days later, Maya came home on Thursday afternoon. She was tired, fussy, uncomfortable from the incision, but the doctor said her recovery was going perfectly. They gave us instructions, how to care for the wound, what signs to watch for, when to come back for follow-up. My mom stayed with us that first week, helping with night feedings, changing diapers, making meals. Emily came over after work every day. Daniel's family sent flowers. Not visits, not offers to help, not apologies for missing the surgery, just flowers. So glad Maya's doing well. Love the Richardson family. The same florist Patricia had used when Maya was born. I recognized the ribbon. Daniel was different after the surgery. Quieter, more withdrawn. He'd call his mother and she'd talk about the shower for 20 minutes, how beautiful it was, how much Brittany loved her gifts, how it was such a shame we'd missed it. And I'd watch his jaw tighten, watch him nod and say, without really listening. 1 week after Maya's surgery, we got the invitation in the mail. Brittany's wedding, October 15th. Black tie optional. Reception at the Lakeview Country Club. RSVP by September 30th. "We should probably go," Daniel said when he saw it. I looked at him. "Do you want to go?" He didn't answer right away. "It's my sister's wedding," he finally said. "If we don't go, it'll cause problems." "More problems than them skipping Maya's heart surgery?" He didn't have an answer for that. We didn't RSVP. I put the invitation on the refrigerator, and every time I looked at it, I felt that same cold decision settling deeper. I wasn't trying to be petty. I wasn't trying to punish anyone. I was just done. Done pretending that surface-level family obligation was the same thing as actual care. On Saturday, 9 days after the surgery, Patricia called. Not to ask about Maya, not to apologize, to ask if we'd RSVP'd yet because the caterer needed a final count. "Hi, Rachel, honey. Just checking in about the RSVP. I haven't seen yours come through yet, and we really need to finalize numbers. You're coming, right?" "I'm not sure yet, Patricia," I said. "What do you mean you're not sure? It's Brittany's wedding. Of course you're coming." "We'll have to see how Maya's doing. She's still recovering." "Oh, Rachel, she's fine. The doctor said she's fine. You can't miss the wedding. What would people think?" What would people think? Not, how is Maya? Not, what do you need? But, what would people think if we didn't show up to a party? "I'll let you know," I said, and hung up before she could respond. That evening, I was scrolling through social media while feeding Maya. Brittany had posted dozens of photos from the shower. Her with Patricia, her with Vanessa, her with Marcus and his wife, everyone laughing and toasting and having a wonderful time. I stopped on one photo. It was time-stamped 10:47 a.m., September 19th, 10:47 in the morning. Maya had still been in surgery at 10:47. They'd been taking party photos while she was on the operating table. They'd been posing with champagne flutes and flower arrangements, while Daniel and I sat in a waiting room, not knowing if our daughter would wake up. I screenshotted that photo too, added it to the folder with the others. I still didn't know what I'd do with them, but I was building something, a record, a documentation of exactly where their priorities had been. Then I saw the comments. Brittany had responded to someone asking, "Where's Rachel and baby Maya?" And Brittany had written, "Oh, Maya had some little procedure this morning, but she's totally fine. Rachel worries too much, LOL. She'll be at the wedding for sure. Some little procedure." Open heart surgery was a little procedure. My 6-month-old daughter's life-saving operation was something she'd dismissed with LOL. That's when I knew exactly what I was going to do. I didn't tell Daniel what I was planning, not because I wanted to hide it from him, but because I needed to think it through first. Needed to make sure I wasn't acting out of pure rage. Rage is easy. Rage is loud and messy and satisfying in the moment. But I didn't want rage. I wanted something quieter, something they'd remember. Over the next week, I made a timeline. Every message they'd sent on Maya's surgery day, every photo they'd posted, every time they'd chosen the wedding over their granddaughter, their niece, their family. I wasn't inventing anything. I was just organizing what already existed, a record of their choices, presented clearly without commentary. I also started reading about boundaries, about what healthy family relationships actually look like, about the difference between people who love you conditionally, based on how convenient you are, how little you ask for, and people who love you unconditionally. Daniel's family had made it very clear which category they fell into. My therapist, I'd started seeing one after Maya was born, just to handle the stress of her diagnosis. She asked me during one session what I wanted the outcome to be. Not revenge, she clarified, not punishment. But what would a good outcome look like? I thought about it for a long time. I want them to understand, I finally said. I want them to see, really see what they did. Not so they'll apologize. I don't even care about that anymore. But so they can't pretend it didn't happen. So they can't rewrite history and tell themselves they were good family members who did their best. That's fair, she said. How will you do that? I'm still figuring that out. The following Tuesday, Patricia called again. This time Daniel answered. He put her on speaker because he was holding Maya and couldn't reach his phone. "Daniel, honey, I need your RSVP. The wedding is in 2 weeks and the caterer is breathing down my neck. Why haven't you and Rachel responded?" "Mom, we're still figuring things out. Maya's recovery has been—" "Maya's fine. You said she's fine. Look, I understand you're being protective, but you can't use your baby as an excuse to skip family obligations. Brittany wants you there. I want you there. You're coming." Daniel looked at me. I could see him struggling, the lifelong habit of saying yes to his mother, warring with something new, something changed. "Mom, I need to go. I'll call you back." He hung up. "I don't want to go," he said, and I heard something break in his voice. "I don't want to sit there and smile and celebrate like nothing happened, like they didn't abandon us, like they didn't—" He stopped, took a breath. "What kind of family does that, Rachel? What kind of people choose a party over a baby?" "I don't know," I said, "but I know what kind of people we are, and we're not them. So we don't go," he said. "We don't go." "They'll be angry. Let them." But I wasn't done. Not going to the wedding was passive. It was just absence. I wanted something more. Not vindictive, not cruel, just truthful. A mirror held up so they had to see exactly who they were. I spent the next evening creating a document. Simple, clean, just facts. Timeline: September 19, 2024. 7 a.m. We arrive at Children's Hospital for Maya's surgery. 7:45 a.m. We text family asking for support. 8:30 a.m. Maya goes into surgery. 10:47 a.m. Family members post photos from bridal shower happening simultaneously. I added screenshots, the texts, the photos, the timestamps, everything. I titled it simply, "A Record of Choices." I showed it to Daniel that night after Maya was asleep. He read it in silence, his face getting paler with each line. "Are you going to send this to them?" "I don't know yet," I said, "but I want it ready in case I need it." "Whatever you decide," he said, "I'm with you." I also did something else. I called my mother-in-law's best friend, Carol, someone I'd always gotten along with, someone who'd always seemed kind. I told her the whole story, not dramatically, just factually. "I'm not asking you to take sides," I said. "I just need someone outside our immediate family to know what happened, because I have a feeling they're going to tell a very different version of this story." "Oh, honey," Carol said after a long pause, "I'm so sorry. Patricia mentioned the surgery, but she made it sound like it was no big deal, like you were being overprotective. I had no idea it was heart surgery. I had no idea they didn't go." "Now you know," I said. The wedding was on Saturday. We sent our RSVP on Wednesday. Daniel and Rachel Chen regret that they are unable to attend. No explanation, no excuse, no apology. Just like they'd given us no apology, no acknowledgement. Just matching their energy, really. The response was immediate. Patricia called 7 times in 2 hours. Vanessa sent a long text about family loyalty. Marcus sent angry messages about disrespecting Brittany's big day. Brittany herself sent a voice message, crying, saying we were ruining her wedding by not coming. I listened to that voice message twice. Not because I felt guilty, but because I wanted to remember this feeling, this clarity about who these people were. They could cry about 2 empty seats at a wedding, but they couldn't spare 3 hours to sit in a hospital waiting room while a baby had open heart surgery. Daniel sent one group text to his family. "We're not coming to the wedding. We need space from all of you right now. Please respect that and stop contacting us." Then he turned off his phone. We spent that Wednesday evening on the couch, just the 2 of us and Maya, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. No wedding planning stress, no family drama, no pretending. Just our little family of 3, safe and together. But Friday night, the night before the wedding, something happened that I hadn't planned for. Patricia showed up at our apartment. I saw her through the peephole, standing in the hallway in her coat, clearly upset, and for a second I considered not opening the door. But Daniel was already walking toward it, already unlocking it. "Daniel, we need to talk," she said, brushing past him into our living room. She didn't even look at me. "This is ridiculous. You're being selfish and childish, and you're going to regret missing your sister's wedding over some what, Mom?" Daniel interrupted, his voice colder than I'd ever heard it. "Say it. Over some what?" "Over some hurt feelings," she finished, but I could hear her realizing she'd said the wrong thing even as the words left her mouth. That's when I spoke. "Patricia, Maya had open heart surgery, a 6-month-old baby, your granddaughter. We asked you to be there. We gave you a month's notice. And you chose a bridal shower instead. Not the wedding, the shower. A party to open gifts. The shower had been planned for—" "I don't care," I said, and my voice was steady, calm, maybe for the first time in this whole situation. "I don't care about your reasons or your excuses. You made a choice. You all made a choice. And now Daniel and I are making one. We're choosing Maya. We're choosing each other. And we're choosing not to be around people who would skip their grandchild's life-saving surgery for champagne and centerpieces." She stared at me like I'd slapped her. "I came here to try to fix this, and you're being—" "Goodbye, Patricia," I said. I walked to the door and opened it. "Daniel and I won't be at the wedding tomorrow. We'll send a gift, but we need you to leave now." For a long moment, she just stood there, looking between me and Daniel, waiting for him to contradict me, to apologize for me, to be the mediator he'd always been. But Daniel just crossed his arms and said what Rachel said. She left. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't look at Maya sleeping in her bouncer by the couch. Just grabbed her purse and walked out. And I heard her heels clicking down the hallway, getting fainter. And then she was gone. Daniel sank onto the couch. "I can't believe I just did that." "How do you feel?" "Lighter," he said quietly. "Is that terrible?" "My mom just left angry, and I feel lighter." "It's not terrible," I said. "It's honest." The morning of the wedding, we didn't think about what was happening at the Lakeview Country Club. We took Maya to her 2-week post-op appointment. The cardiologist said her heart was healing beautifully. He showed us the ultrasound. The defect was repaired. The patch was holding. Her heart was pumping normally. "She's perfect," he said. "You'd never know anything was wrong." We went out for lunch afterward, just the 3 of us, at a quiet restaurant near the hospital. Maya slept in her car seat the whole time, worn out from the appointment, and Daniel and I ate slowly, talking about small things. About maybe taking a weekend trip to the cabin once Maya was fully healed. About repainting the nursery. About how maybe this was what life was supposed to feel like. Simple, peaceful, without constantly managing other people's expectations. My phone started buzzing around 2 p.m. Text messages, Instagram notifications. I ignored them at first, but they kept coming. Finally, I looked. Emily had texted, "Rachel, did you see what Patricia posted?" I opened Instagram. Patricia had made a post, a photo from the wedding. Brittany in her dress, the whole family gathered around. The caption was long. "Such a beautiful day celebrating our Brittany. So grateful to have most of our family here to share this special moment. Some family members chose not to attend due to personal disagreements, but we won't let negativity spoil this perfect day. Family means showing up, even when it's hard. #blessed, #family first, #wedding day." Personal disagreements. She'd made it sound like we'd skipped the wedding over some petty argument. No mention of Maya, no mention of the surgery. Just a passive-aggressive post painting us as the difficult ones, the ones who wouldn't show up. "She's unbelievable," Daniel said, reading over my shoulder. "She's making us look like the bad guys." "Good," I said quietly. He looked at me. "Good?" I opened my laptop, pulled up the document I'd made, a record of choices. I'd been unsure about whether to share it, whether it was too much, too vindictive. But she'd just made the decision easy. She wanted to control the narrative? Fine. I'd give everyone the full story. I added one more section to the document. October 15. Patricia posts on social media suggesting Daniel and I skipped Brittany's wedding due to personal disagreements, with no mention of Maya's surgery or the choice the family made on September 19. For anyone wondering about those personal disagreements, here is a complete timeline of what actually happened. Then I posted it. Not to Instagram, where it would be public and messy, to Facebook, where most of the extended family were. Tagged Daniel's family members, made it so friends of tagged people could see it. Not revenge, just truth. Just a complete, factual record with screenshots and timestamps and no editorializing. I hit share, then I turned off my phone. "What did you do?" Daniel asked. "Told the truth," I said. "That's all. Just the truth." We didn't check our phones for the rest of the day. We gave Maya a bath, read her stories, put her to bed early. It wasn't until 9 p.m. that I finally turned my phone back on. 83 notifications, text messages, Facebook comments, missed calls. I sat on the bed and started reading through them. Carol had commented, "I'm horrified. I had no idea this is what happened. Patricia told me it was just a minor procedure. I'm so sorry, Rachel." Daniel's aunt, Patricia's sister, had commented, "Patricia, is this true? You didn't go to Maya's heart surgery? Why didn't you tell anyone it was that serious?" Cousins, family friends, people I barely knew. The comments kept coming, almost all of them supportive, almost all of them shocked that Patricia's family had skipped a baby's open heart surgery for a bridal shower. Vanessa had commented, defensive, "This is a private family matter and Rachel had no right to air it publicly. She's trying to destroy our family." Someone had replied to Vanessa, "If it was private, maybe your mom shouldn't have posted about personal disagreements first. Rachel's just setting the record straight." Marcus had commented, "The surgery was routine. The doctors said it was routine. We would have been there if it was serious." At least 10 people had responded to that, pointing out that all surgery is serious, that routine doesn't mean not important, that your presence isn't determined by how life-threatening something is, but by whether the people you love need you. I kept scrolling. Patricia hadn't commented. Neither had Brittany. But the post had been shared. People had screenshotted it, shared it to their own pages with commentary. The truth was spreading in a way I hadn't quite anticipated, and I wasn't sure how I felt about that. "No going back now," Daniel said, reading over my shoulder again. "No," I agreed. "But I'm not sorry." And I wasn't. For the first time since September 19th, I felt like the truth was actually visible. Not my anger, not my hurt, just what had actually happened, laid out clearly so nobody could misinterpret it or spin it or make excuses for it. My phone rang. Patricia. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "How dare you?" she hissed. No greeting, just rage. "How dare you humiliate my family publicly like this? Take that post down right now." "No," I said. "What?" I said no. You posted about personal disagreements without telling the truth. You made us look like the problem. So I told everyone what actually happened. That's not humiliation, that's just facts. If you don't take it down, you'll regret this. You're destroying this family. You destroyed it first, I said. On September 19th, when you chose flower arrangements over your granddaughter. I'm just making sure everyone knows exactly what that choice was. She started to say something else, but I hung up. Turned off my phone again and went to check on Maya, who was sleeping peacefully, her tiny chest rising and falling with her repaired heart beating strong and steady underneath. The wedding was over. The truth was out. And for the first time in weeks, I slept through the night. 3 weeks after the wedding, after the Facebook post, after everything, things settled into a new kind of normal. Patricia stopped calling. Vanessa and Marcus sent a few angry texts, then went silent. Brittany blocked me on social media, which honestly felt like a relief. The funny thing is, other people didn't go silent. Daniel's aunt, Patricia's sister, called to apologize for not knowing how serious Maya's surgery was. She sent a care package with baby clothes and a heartfelt card. 2 of Daniel's cousins reached out, said they'd had no idea what was happening, offered to visit and meet Maya properly. Carol, Patricia's best friend, actually drove over one Saturday morning with homemade soup and an apology. "I should have asked more questions," she said, sitting at our kitchen table while Maya played on her activity mat. "Patricia always has a way of making her version of events sound reasonable. I should have known there was more to the story." "It's okay," I said, and I meant it. "You're here now, that matters." The truth is, posting that timeline didn't destroy Daniel's family. It just revealed what was already broken. The people who cared reached out. The people who only wanted us to be convenient faded away. And honestly, that felt like a gift, knowing exactly where we stood, who would show up when things got hard. Daniel was different too. Lighter, like he'd said that night after his mom left. He stopped checking his phone anxiously, stopped trying to smooth things over, stopped being the bridge between his family and his actual life. One night, while giving Maya her bottle, he said, "I spent so long trying to keep everyone happy. My mom, my siblings. I didn't realize I was making us miserable in the process." "You're not responsible for their happiness," I said. "Just ours. Yours, mine, Maya's." "Yeah," he said, smiling down at our daughter. "Yeah, I'm good with that." Maya thrived. By November, her incision had healed to a thin pink line. By December, she was rolling over, babbling, laughing at everything. The cardiologist said she'd need checkups every 6 months, but her prognosis was excellent. She was going to be fine. She was going to live a completely normal, healthy life. I learned something through all of this, something I wish I'd understood earlier. Family isn't about obligation. It's not about showing up to parties or keeping the peace or making sure nobody's feelings get hurt. Family is about showing up when it matters, when it's hard, when it's not fun or convenient or Instagram-worthy. It's about sitting in hospital waiting rooms. It's about bringing soup when someone's exhausted. It's about choosing people over plans. And if someone's not willing to do that for you, they're not family. Not really. They're just people you're related to. There's a difference. Now, when I look back at that day, September 19th, sitting in that waiting room with my mom and sister while Daniel's family chose champagne and gift bags, I don't feel angry anymore. I feel grateful. Grateful it happened early, when Maya was still a baby, so I knew exactly who these people were before I wasted more years trying to earn their love. Grateful I found my voice, that I said no, that I refused to pretend, that I posted the truth when they tried to rewrite history, that I protected my daughter and my husband and myself by drawing boundaries and actually keeping them. We spent Christmas with my family, small, quiet, perfect. My mom made her famous pot roast. Emily brought gifts for Maya, tiny books, soft toys. We took photos and ate too much dessert, and nobody's phone rang with drama or demands. It felt like what holidays were supposed to feel like love, not obligation. Maya will have a scar on her chest for the rest of her life, a thin line over her heart, a reminder of what she survived. I'll have a scar too, though mine's invisible. The scar of learning that the family I married into cared more about appearances than actual love. But scars are proof you survived something hard. They're not shameful. They're just true. If you're listening to this and you're in a situation where family expects everything from you but gives nothing back, where your needs are always secondary to their convenience, where you're always the one accommodating, always the one apologizing, always the one pretending things are fine when they're not. Please hear me when I say this. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to choose the people who actually show up for you over the people who just expect you to show up for them. And you're allowed to walk away from relationships that only work if you make yourself smaller, quieter, less honest about what you need. It won't be easy. They'll call you selfish. They'll say you're destroying the family. They'll tell you that you're overreacting, that you're being too sensitive, that you're making a big deal out of nothing. But here's what I learned. People who truly love you don't minimize your pain. They don't ask you to pretend. They don't choose parties over your presence in the moments that actually matter. Real family shows up, not because they have to, not because they're obligated, but because when someone they love needs them, there's nowhere else they'd rather be. That's the family worth keeping. That's the family worth fighting for. And everyone else, no matter what their last name is just taking up space in your life that could be filled with people who actually deserve to be there. Daniel, Maya, and I are happy now. Smaller family, quieter holidays, but real, honest, full of people who would drop everything to sit in a hospital waiting room with us, who would never, ever choose a party over a baby's surgery. And you know what the funniest part is? After everything, after the Facebook post, after the truth came out, after half the extended family reached out to apologize, Patricia tried to reach out in March, sent a card for Maya's first birthday. Inside was a note. Hope we can put all this behind us and move forward as a family. Let's get together soon. I didn't respond. Daniel didn't respond. Because moving forward to her meant pretending September 19th never happened, meant going back to performing Happy Family while nothing actually changed. And we were done with that. Done pretending. Done performing. We sent back the card with a note of our own. Thank you for thinking of Maya. We're not ready to rebuild a relationship yet, and we're not sure if we will be. We wish you well. Short, polite, honest, and final enough that she didn't try again. That's where we are now, building a life with the people who deserve to be in it, setting boundaries with the people who don't, teaching Maya as she grows that love isn't something you beg for or earn through obedience. Love is something freely given, joyfully shared, and fiercely protected. And she'll never wonder if her family will show up when she needs them, because the family she has, the one we built from the people who actually care, they always, always will. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. I know it was long and I know it was heavy, but if you stayed until the end, that means something. It means you understood that sometimes the hardest thing we do is choose ourselves and our children over people who don't deserve our loyalty. If this story resonated with you, if you've been through something similar with difficult family members, or if you just want to support more real-life stories about boundaries and self-respect, please hit that like button and leave a comment. I read every single one, and your stories help me feel less alone in mine. And if you'd like to see more emotional, honest stories about real-life family drama and how we survive it with our dignity intact, please subscribe to this channel. We're building a community here of people who refuse to shrink themselves to make others comfortable. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And if you're dealing with family members who don't value you the way you deserve, please remember, you're not the problem. You never were. The problem is people who ask you to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. Choose yourself. Choose your peace. Choose the people who choose you. Take care of yourselves. Set those boundaries. And I'll see you in the next story.